And did you know the crow was gonna do one of these today? I don't know if you did, but we're doing it. Let's build us a HISS tank, and I'll explain about how this came to be today. What's going on, everybody? Crusty old Crow here. Look at me trying hard with these tactical perspectives to get back on track. Ain't you proud of me? I'm proud of me. Clearly, I'm not done moving, but man, sometimes you just gotta. So I've been sitting back on knowing about this since Joe Fest. I'll explain. At Joe Fest myself, I went shopping for some big end items. And as you guys know, the Backyard Battlefield crew were there, along with some of you guys, like Loki and Daredevil Dave. You guys were there. But Aaron the Toy Enhancer and Down South 77 were with me. And on the last day, Down South 77 had stumbled across this deal. And it was a good price, brand new, inbox, Haslab HISS. But he didn't need another tank, he needed figures. He needed the gunner and the tactician. And he was humming and hawing. And he said, well, he got it at a good enough price, he could resell it. And me and him started talking, and we came up with a way for me to buy this from him. And so happily, everything worked out the way we said it would, and it was a Hannibal moment. I love it when a plan comes together. Right? So, yeah, very happy right now. Got this a great deal. Thank you so much, Down South 77. I appreciate you every day, man. He's helped me out in so many ways, and I've got to find a way to surprise him somehow, some way. My gears are always turning, and I've been talking to somebody. I got to figure this out, because he is just too kind to hook me up with the deal he hooked me up with here. Thank you. Clearly, it's already out of the box. Nobody could manipulate this box with such carefree ways if there was figures in an actual Haslab. No, I pulled them out, guys. So, Cobra Commander in the Mickey Mouse outfit there. He'll stay in the box, but not because I'm an in-the-box guy. It's because I don't really need him on my shelf. Got a couple of Cobra Commanders on the go again. He's valuable, I guess, inside the box. I'll put him away. He's a locked-up memory. If need be, I'll pull the pin and get rid of him. But I got to be careful not to let that that punch go out of the hole slot there, right? But Haslab with the file cards, you sons of bitches. You do it for the Haslabs. You don't do it for the, and not just all the Haslabs, right? Just the retro Haslab. And then of course I've got the driver here, and I'll have a look at them and do a little review on them at some other point, right? But I did open it, already had a look. I haven't unseated it from its background and everything. It does have the colored background, which you guys know I love keeping those arts. Very cool. But yes, of course, the tactician and the gunner stayed with Down South. It was the reason why he found himself in such a conundrum as to buy this and whatnot. So I'm glad he was able to get his money back and get his investment, I hope, back, and satisfaction guaranteed, I hope. You know, because it was, I know how I feel right now. I'm overwhelmed. I got my very first Haslab. Let's have a look and open up this guy. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so as I said, inside this, it came double stacked inside that Packer box. Very well boxed up, very well protected. This, of course, carried all the figs for it. A lot of you already have the Haslab HISS, and that's fine. I have to do my review on it. It's my very first Haslab. And of course, it wouldn't be a Crow Haslab if I didn't get, you know, most of it, right? Does it bother me that I didn't bother with the tactician and gunner? Absolutely not. I have so many figures I could throw onto a HISS tank. I never cared for the HISS tank tier unlocks, actually. So long as there was a driver, that was fine. The rest of them, that was fine too. Like, they all worked out. But it's a huge thing to sit on your shelf. And when you have as many figures as many of us do, that HISS tank goes with everything, man. And I already know who I want commanding it right off the bat for some reason. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to drink this moment in. And then I'm going to try and speed things along somehow. So let's... Da, 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 da. Let's pop it open. You can hear my cat in the background. I did move my cats in recently. Oh, there we go. There's the big Packer box. But right away, there's my canopy pieces. There's awesome, right? The new tech design, and then of course classic clear. I'm gonna put those off to the side. I imagine I'll be dealing with those later. Side skirts. There we go. Protect that suspension, that drivetrain, those drive sprockets and return holders, all that track assembly. Right, side skirts. Awesome. All right, and then we've got our main armament there, our Cupola twin, what is that, twin 50, twin 80? I have no idea. We'll look at that later. Auto cannon, for those of you who played 40K, twin linked auto cannons, cool. Oh, that's glorious. All right, guys, I'm just going to tilt the box forward and show you how it was packed if you haven't seen these before. So you saw me removing all of that. I will make sure that this doesn't fly out onto the floor. And then we'll just slide that forward and tilt that box backwards. Oh, wow. That's impressive. I'm going to keep that off to the side, clearly. That main body. And let's see what's in here. All right, so left to be pulled out, we have our missile sponsons. All right. We have our, okay, left and right bank missile sponsons. There we go. Ooh. Terrain board. We have, no, there's our main armament. Okay, so that other one was the underslung. So these would be heavies. Okay, so these would be like, what is that? Definitely twin 80 to 90 calibers. I wouldn't go as high as 10. Yeah, nothing over the 100 series. That's awesome. Okay, those were bigger than I thought. And then we have some armor plating that clearly will end up going somewhere. Oh, and some crew-served ACAC weapons, you know, the anti-air, anti-imp. Okay, there we go. And then we got the rest of the Packer box, and we'll put that off. We'll put all that Packer box stuff back in there. And let's slap this bad boy together. But before I put it together, thankfully, I already retrieved the instructions, my decal sheet, and as per the instructions, I've set aside 3 AA batteries. I think that's what it called for, wasn't it? Double A's or triple A's? Let's find out. I have both. Yeah, they look like double A's. Whatever, we'll figure it out. I need my glasses for this. Clearly, look at all that plastic. You guys want to listen to plastic, or you want me to just do a time lapse? Let's do time lapse. Well, that was fun. I had a great time putting that together. Holy cow, what a great little piece of kit. I just have these guys left to put on. I'm assuming these are surface to air missiles, or what kind of, don't know what kind of missiles they're supposed to represent, but man, that's awesome. Yeah, they've got to be in the air. Anyways, let's put those on and talk about some stuff here. So, off the hop. Am I smitten with this? 100%. This was money well spent. I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't. And I did buy it on the aftermarket. I paid more than when these things first come out, and I was happy to do it, right? It's a difference between buying it off a stranger and buying it off a friend, right? I'm glad this was done through a friend and not just like a Facebook garage sale or something where I don't know the person. This only a friend would allow this kind of a deal to go off. I'm just noticing I've got a little bit of a fiddle issue going on with some of these missiles, so I'm just going to make sure that they're a nice tight fit. I like how this retracts in and out. It slides in and out of that. That's neat. I like that. That really lends some playability I didn't know about. So I just kind of thought they sat on the side. I didn't realize that they jut out. That's a neat discovery. And I'm told I can expect to have a lot of discoveries with this thing as I go. Just as I explore this vehicle and all the little nuances that the design team over at Hasbro threw into this thing, like, and I watched other videos, so there were little tricks and things I knew about, like the canopy having an issue with the seating on the gull wings. I was prepared for that. Mine has that same issue. I'll work on it, but I don't care because I don't want to ruin it by overcorrecting anything. Just amazing detail. I love the fact that his throttle control, if you look inside, for those of you who might not have this particular item, and I understand how that is, yeah, his throttle forward, like speed control lever is movable, as is his joystick. Like, you can tell how this guy drives this with no steering yoke, right? He's got that functional seatbelt, and then all that lighting interior. Let's turn that on. Like, it's got a startup mode, right, where the computer runs its I shouldn't call it that, built-in test, right? But everybody just calls it a bit test. Just amazing. And then, conservation of electrical effort here. This won't light up till I open it, right? So let's open it. There you go. And now, because I didn't select the lighting, or is it because, I overextended the ramp? So it's got an inhibitor switch, which is neat. That's awesome, right? So you can't just drop that ramp off the face of the earth at the inhibitor switch there. So there you go. That's neat. I like that. And I like the fact they have the standing ramp back for that as well, for troops to ride on. Thank God this is just those little pieces of non-advanced augment plastic there. We'll just put that back on before I drop it another time. I'm going to retract my missile system. So where did I run into issues besides the gull wing? It was the drum on the ACAC guns. I see what people were saying now. I kind of knew that they had done a fit issue with the drums being meant for a different kit, clearly, because they're side fed opposite of each other, but the guns themselves only have the one receiving port for ammo. to hit that feed tray, right? And for these phalanx guns to have that little drum issue, all I can say, guys, is inside those drums that we're talking about here, here's your little bit of tack, whatever. Yeah, they would be perfectly symmetrical with each other and mirror each other. But you got to remember the contents of this drum is really just a spindle and a long bandolier of connected straps of ammo. 250 rounds or 200 rounds strapped to another 200, strapped to another 200, strapped to another, like linked together, and then wrapped around a spindle that allows that to feed out and empty, right? So does it really matter if they're that way or that way when you know the whole thing is cylindrical? If that allows your imaginations to forgive what happened here, then so be it. It's what I've got to work with. I don't buy it for a second. It's a mistake, but I mean, in the end, the fundamental issue I have with it is it does kind of affect how the cannons can elevate and whatnot. If there's a rub there, you have to position the gun off to the side differently and it or down or up just to manipulate the cannons properly, I find, because the drum is kind of in its way, right? So the other alternative is, I mean, really, how many ACACs do you need, right? I mean, how many people are you wedging up in this cupola right now to fight anti-aircraft while engaging an enemy? You're lucky to get two guys squeezed in here without you know, some intimacy issues going on, much less three. So, you know, quick orientation of the turret, and we'll take out whatever threats show up. Oh, quick orientation of the turret without snapping my turret. I guess it's got some inhibitors there too. Interesting. I have to see why that's feeling interfered with. But I guess you just lift a bit. Oh, there you go. Yeah, just rotate that over there. Anyways, yeah, you see where I'm going. On a real tank, man, we're not going to have every crew member up there like this is some sort of godly gun platform to shoot at all angles. And the option is just a matter of traversing, really. It's not a matter of, well, we need a second gun or else I can't shoot over the other side. That's ridiculous. Anyways, so I can forgive it by not looking at it. Did I run into any other fit issues with anything? No, none, right? Everything fits snugly and beautifully. This was a dream assembly as far as I see it. The electronics are pretty simple to operate and turn on and off with that little pressure switch. And I think that's the full off now. Lights are off. Just an all-out fun build, and now I've got this thing, right? So let's have a look at that driver in it, and maybe we'll crew this thing up a little bit and have a, whatchamacallit? Oh, I like this. I didn't even notice this, guys. Look at this. Toe pintle, up, down, stowed position. I like that a lot. I was already really kind of captivated by the interior. I shouldn't get to the crew yet. With the weapon storage rack the way it is, but also the fact that the seat goes up and down to suit the kind of character you're putting up there, because we know some of these guys might have different articulation issues. I was just looking for that seat to fold up. That was the big thing for me, and I don't feel like I can force it to fold up, and I don't want to. If it was able to fold up and you could slide something in there, you know, cargo wise, it'd be all right. You can you've got some cargo space. You can definitely get troops in there, at least a couple. So I thought that was really cool. But I like that stowage pinto. I like this thing has so much functionality to it. I'm looking at the readout screen right now to see what our driver is looking at, and really it's just a global positioning satellite startup menu that he's looking at. He's got on the left side, he's got that old sweeping radar submarine-like beacon, the bloop, bloop, bloop dial. You can see that just off to the one side. Let's get that in shot. There you go. You can kind of see that in there. And then on the other side, like that center screen is all just, you know, startup menu. And then the other side just looks like, power readings or oil pressure, things like that. And then on his left side panel, he's got some more readouts, same as on the right side, I bet, yeah. Just little readouts. They look like more gauges, forward and dorsal, or what's that, an F and a D? Oh, fuel and oil are on the right. So it's fuel and oil gauges on the right. And that looks like just energy readings on the left, radar on the left, startup menu on the front, and then it would be, looks like gear and possibly power, battery, whatever. Oh, track, something to do with the track and something to do with probably traction. There's a couple of unknown switches. I'm just having fun trying to figure it out because, as you guys know, I've worked with a lot of different armored vehicles, and I always like to look and see what people think we're looking at down there. You know, we have a lot of things that we have to, the drivers of these vehicles have to keep track of, and with tanks there's a whole different batch, right? Because you're dealing with different types of engines here. So it's interesting to see what gets interpreted where. I thought there was something to do with this, but I think this is all it is. It's just that that's a feature in itself. Fold up ladders, great for storytelling, Cobra icons everywhere, and I've got more stickers to add to it if I want. I like the grip bar on the back. That was a great idea for the tag along riders. Let's have a look at the underside. All I ever saw on the underside was the battery compartment, right? I didn't notice that fold out part, but we've got something written down here, and it says, warning, secure canopy and hatches and remove weapons and ammunition prior to lifting. Fuel level must be below 25% prior to transport. Ensure all electrical systems are powered down. And yeah, so this is how it would get lifted, but yeah, it doesn't seem to have any kind of panel that you can manipulate out of that. But that's actually pretty cool that they put that in there for ground crews to know how this thing would be helo lifted or transported anywhere. That's awesome. Useful stuff, useful stuff. These missiles, let's have a look at one of them. All right, I actually like these. These remind me very much of the Navy anti-air missiles, right? The stuff you would see on like a Tomahawk on the side of a ship or something, and they rotate up and down just beautifully. So there's a launch sequence waiting to happen, right? So just devastation for Joe. Makes me wish CoverGirl had her Wolverine, but I guess I'm gonna have to try and do that through Ramen at some point. Get them to Canada for under $100 every time. But wow, just wow. I see the hype. I was never against the HISS. I just couldn't get there in time. I had just joined the collection. I wasn't in time for the HISS, and I wasn't in time for the Dragonfly. I am in time for the Rattler, but I don't want the Rattler because these things are friggin' huge. And I have space for one more right now, and that's going to have to be the Dragonfly. Again, I'm going to have to hunt it on the aftermarket, but so worth it, guys. So worth it. Having the options on side skirts, having the option for canopies, having the options to put decals on there if you want, and other things. This thing has so much play grade to it. I can give it an instant grading right now as a tactical perspective, right? Just based off what we're looking at right now, which is the completed HISS. I give it a tac grade of, I'd say, 4.5 or 5. You know, glass canopies on armored vehicles never do it for me, bulletproof or not. Trying to ricochet a high impact round isn't going to work the same for polymer glass or, you know, like these composite glasses, whatnot. I know, I'll sci-fi the hell of it. We'll be fine with that, but that's my ballistic issue with it. Oh man, that scuffs up though. Man, does that ever scuff up though on the front end? I'm going to have to put a sticker or something on for that front end. Just my fingernails seem to take a little bit of an enamel off of it or something. Just the lightest scratch that only the certain light picks up, but I don't like that having happened. So we're not going to play too much with that clip system after I get a driver in there. Yeah, so on attack rate, I'll just go 5. It's a Haslab, it's a tank, it's got twin anti-armor, it's got anti-air, it's got anti-everybody, bunker, aircraft, whatever. It's got the capability of firing up a dozen missiles before needing to reload. Yeah, and it's got any light armored vehicles, I would say, the things to take out, things like a Jeep or a bike, all that sort of stuff. And then the crew capacity in the back. It's, you know, if I were liking it to anything on the modern battlefield, I would, you know, jokingly liking it to a Bradley or something like that, but more souped up, but not quite the Markava. It's a main battle tank with a troop capacity, so I can't call it I'm not even going to call this a tank, although they do. I call this an infantry fighting vehicle, okay, an IFV, meaning that it's meant to deliver troops to the battlefield and drop them off and support them with heavy fire. Okay, so an IFV, not an APC, an armored personnel carrier. They aren't designed to fight their troops, right? Or necessarily for the combat function, right? An APC. The side skirt's just a little loose, but you know, like, what are we talking about here, guys? This thing's gonna sit on my shelf and just smoke of awesomeness. So what do I care? Absolutely beautiful. Down South 77. Thank you. The play grade 5. The je ne sais quoi, a million. You know, like there's so much I'm going to learn about this vehicle as I put different crew into it, as I position it differently on my shelf, stage it across from a vamp. It's going to overshadow. I'm going to lose the vamp behind it, right? And then it makes me laugh about the cover of the Duke and Tiger Force Ram, and to see him strafing targets and somehow blowing up tanks with his Tiger Force. I'm calling bullshit on that, Duke. I'm calling 100% bullshit on that. That Gatling gun ain't punching through this like that. Anyways, guys, let's go have a look at that driver. Well, let's have a look at this driver, shall we? Because we all know what the Cobra Commander retro-carded Mickey Mouse hoo-ha looked like, right? And I don't need to do this, and I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to review it. I am opening the driver. Don't care. Need them. Gotta have them. So I'll do a quick review just as a part of an overview on him. Just to say, yeah, I don't think having just the one crew makes sense to break this down to a separate review. So I've already kind of decided on what needed to happen with this one, but we'll just get some good shots on that for a second. So really, there's the inner box. Now, you guys know I like to do things with these, so this will be unique into itself because it's colored, and but it's definitely going to get added to that. There's no sense in doing anything else but, right? I'm not collecting these for their value. I'm collecting these for the personal attachment, right? So the driver box, same art as what you'd find inside. Now, what I like about these is they're direct to the consumer. So we don't deal with taped up boxes and possible ripping when you buy them right from Haslab, and Haslab seals them in the shipper box and things like that. They do retain the figure and the plastic strapping to keep it firm in the box. But even the ammo crate, wherever I put that, I believe it was down here, it was a fold open, no tape kind of situation. It did have the layered, nothing special about this stuff at all there, but it was there. But not a whole lot to it because it's direct to the purchaser through Haslab in that shipper, right? So very interesting. So when I see these on the retail market, I'm like, oh, okay, so there is a bit of a threat risk or a tamper risk because there is no tape on them when they're received unless the reseller tapes them, right? So our driver here, you know, he's got the added layer on his vest, which I was like, that surprised me that they did that, because what you need for a good driver figure is that good waistband. But it looks like he's able to achieve some degree of that. You know, he doesn't have a whole lot of limitation. He comes in really nicely, not overly tight, not overly loose. I can bend all the joints, except I think I'm having a bit of an issue with an elbow here. Yeah, that elbow seems pretty fixed in there. We'll have to... Nope, there we go. We got that. So just a bit of stiffness in the elbows. I'd be the same way if I was packed the way these guys were for as long as these guys have been. Yeah, so I'm coming with an extra set of hands here. So he's got closed fists and he's got open hand here. So the closed fists I find very interesting here. I'm wondering if he is meant to be able to remote this tank somehow, or if they just wanted you to have an option here. I'm not quite sure what the deal is, but these are fighting fists. So I guess if he's outside the tank and whatever, you can pose him as fighting. I do like the little wrist gauntlet that he's got, the tech piece on that. Just something to keep him in communications and constant with his vehicle and understanding the readouts and everything like that. A little bit of situational awareness, never hurt a guy. Not a big fan of this visor. I'll tell you why. It's too reminiscent of a Viper, the way their helmets and everything would have to work out. And the problem is he's got too many instrument panels in that tank to monitor. He needs his naked eye there. Otherwise, it's redundant because they're all being brought up on his heads-up display. But it takes away from a driver's peripheral vision, which an armored driver does not want. That, and the crew commander wouldn't want him to do that, right? The crew commander is going to be sitting up here in the tank's cupola, trusting his driver to stay on the selected routes and things like that, and advancing the way it was explained to him towards the contact. But he's got to watch out for things like landmines, wire that can F up his track, ambushes, IEDs, all sorts of stuff. You want your driver's eyes out there looking around, able to look at his instrument panels, but able to look out any one of his windshields at all time, because he noticed something in his peripheral. When you have these technical obstructions over your eyes, you're asking for trouble. That's all I'm saying. But, it's the old Joe design, I guess, of the HISS driver, and I have to accept that for what it is. But tactically, I wouldn't accept that. I'd be telling him, you're not driving with that on your face. Take that off, goof. Anyways, we'll open up that canopy, and we'll do what we came here to do. We'll put him into that seatbelt harness, which I have not yet opened, but I do have experience with it because Aaron, the toy enhancer, hooked me up with a beautiful little flight pod when he saw that I never did end up having access to it. And as a result, I now know how these seatbelts are meant to work. So I just got to pivot it towards me. Thank you, boys, for all your help this year. Helping the crow learn new tricks, right? And so we'll just get the seatbelt in there. We'll have a look and say, yep, that's where you're staying on the shelf anyways. So you might as well just get cozy. Put his hands on his gears and his joystick there. And we'll talk about the play grade, because tactically, I can't really ding him. He's the driver. He looks like the driver. He's equipped like the driver, but I mean, that headpiece for him, I don't know, it kind of blows goats. That's a choice for a driver. As a choice for a character, sure, makes sense. The only other play feature I didn't show you guys was his bayoneted compact submachine pistol. All right, with a clip. Okay, very, very compact submachine pistol, but given a fold-out bayonet that appears to only be able to flip about to this angle, like straight up and down 90 degrees. Anything else and it would be interacting here, unless it's two knives and they flip it from the sides. Okay, why on earth would anybody stow their weapon with the bayonet on it like that? I would never know. You're asking for so many hazards here. Do you think things don't fall off racks and bounce around in an armored vehicle when they're moving towards an enemy or reacting to enemy? Man, you tell your driver to jockey, he's going to slam that thing in reverse, go back a hard, like 45-degree angle, and then rip her back up straight and come to a sudden halt. This rifle, ba-ching! It's all over the place with the bayonet flying around. So maybe he does need some eye protection in that driver's hole, if that's the case. I don't know. That's what it's there for, to protect him from his own rifle. Anyways, so the play grade for the driver, I'm just going to give him a straight 3.5, right? He's got a pistol. I didn't show you. I should do that now. I didn't. It's just a small, humble little leg help pistol. Get him out. Now that I know how he goes in, I'll be able to get him out again later. We'll just pull that out of the harness there. Have a look at that. Is it anything fancy? Is it anything special? Of course not. It's not your usual Viper type pistol. It is its own type boat pistol. It seems to have some sort of small EOTech based sight post on the back, like really far back on the pistol. Unless that is a mold nub that they didn't cut, we'll just pretend like they would definitely not miss that. And we'll put them back in there. So play grade, I'm going to give him a simple 3.5. He's got what he needs, but his kit doesn't necessarily make great sense, and I don't really understand the hands feature, except for so you can pose them in a fist-to-fist combat, whatnot. I would have preferred different head feature, like a choice of heads over a choice of hands, probably. That would have probably been gone over, or some function to the mask. But I'm not going to get too damn critical about it, because really this purchase wasn't about a driver. You didn't get a choice, right? Like, we got to pick the color early when everybody voted on what you wanted your crew to be colored as, but as far as the rest of it, you get what you get, right? It's not like I have to keep that driver in there, nor do I have to keep that screen on that. Right, put this kid away. And so on the je ne sais quoi part, the I don't know what, the creativity, the everything else grade, actually I'm going to give them a solid 5 on that creativity aspect for the driver. Same as I probably would for the tactician and the gunner, just in that you, the fan, had a vote. You know what I mean? We all had a say in it. If you were participating in the buying this product, and I don't even think you had to be buying the Haslab to get a say in what the colors were. So this was decided by consensus, and you got to be on board with that. That's a solid 5 right there. So it really doesn't matter, guys, because the driver isn't what this was about for me. It was about having a Haslab so I can have an opinion on a Haslab and decide for myself, are they worth the investment? Absolutely. Even on the secondary market, if for whatever reason you weren't in a situation to buy a Haslab originally, but you find yourself in a situation to buy one down the line, you got to remember, it's not like these are everywhere. The secondary market is something you've experienced in every other aspect of collecting something in your life, right? You have to concede that it's going to be there. It exists and it's there and people benefit from it, and you have to accept that. I personally understand it, you know, like juggling high multiple $100 toy items in your household budget requires some finesse, and sometimes you've got to buy one to flip in order to make the one you buy for yourself more affordable. And I can't do that, guys. I cannot. Supply and demand is a real thing. All right, so I was happy to pay a bit of extra for it because I was too late to do that. Same as I'm going to be happy to do that with the Dragonfly. I won't be doing that with the Rattler. I'm on the fence about the Rattler because of the shelf space, but I do want the figures, some of the figures, not all of them. Specifically Wild Weasel and the Baroness. So I don't think I'm going to buy into the Rattler. I'm just going to get the Dragonfly one way or the other and call it a day and wait for the next Haslab in the pipe. But so happy with this, so happy. Oh my goodness. Can't stop rambling, that happy with it, guys. Let me put a crew commander in this and then close it out for the day.